We're rolling. Timer starts now. Mark. Hi, I'm Ford.
And I'm Sky. And these are not our real names. These are our superhero names, and with our powers combined, we formed the writing partnership L. Skyford. Welcome to Booklandia.
Today, we're going to review a book, most likely a romance. But before we get much further, did you know you can watch our faces do this episode by subscribing to us on Twitch at L. Skyford or YouTube at L.Skyford? You should really do it. We give good face.
And sometimes there's a dog bomb at Ford's house.
This is true. For our other socials, you can follow us on Twitter at SkyfordL, on Instagram at L.Skyford. And if you're interested in our book, blog, or even more book reviews, head over to our website, lskyford.com.
Lastly, this and every episode are chock full of oversharing and spoilers, and every episode is rated E for explicit. You have been warned.
Hi. I realized in listening to our introduction, it's not so much dog bombs as dog balls. Look at that dog ball. Totally snoozling down there. Hold on, I better just throw a blanket over her. There we go.
I realized that our closed captioning app always thinks that we're saying dog vomit at your house. And I just want to reassure everyone that the word is dog bomb.
Yes. Sometimes there's vomit because I do in fact own a pet. But you know, just like only rarely.
Excellent.
Anywho.
Good. Now that we've covered that.
Now that we've covered that, we need to talk about how you look fancy AF and I'm wearing a house robe.
I almost wore a robe, but then I was like, but I have this other thing going on. I'm going to put the thing I'm going to after this. So that sounded like a super jerk move because I'm like, I didn't dress up for you. I dressed up for someone else. I also dressed up for you.
No. Thank you. But also, I'm wearing a robe, so I very clearly didn't dress up for you. So no emotional harm done.
I mean, I did think about showing up in a robe and then it was going to be a boudoir situation.
It wasn't just like robe over what you're wearing like I'm doing. It was like, ba-da-da-da-dow.
Yeah, that's where it was going to go.
Maybe for our finale?
Ooh.
Should we wear our choicest lacy bits?
I mean, we can talk about it.
If you want us to wear our choicest lacy lady bits, oh my god, I'm just drinking a Doritos. Okay, let us know, and we may choose to ignore you.
Like, what are you signing us up for? But okay, yeah, we can try that. We will take your commentary into consideration.
Absolutely. But we still maintain all the consent in this relationship.
Yes, that is true.
Oh my goodness. Shall we get to the people, tell the people what we're doing?
Yes, absolutely yes. We are talking about this book right here, Ruby Dixon's Ice Planet Barbarians. Here is the special edition cover, and it has a brunette woman holding a spear in the foreground and a long-haired blue alien with a tail wrapped around her, and you see some snow-capped mountains and a spaceship in the background.
It's definitely a flying saucer, and it's the first time I've noticed it is in this moment right here.
Oh, yes, it is. I know. I as I was describing it, it was like it's very anachronistically like a little green man alien spaceship.
Yeah.
Okay.
That cover is also from the special edition series, which has come out this year, and it's starting a new run of these books, which were this book was originally published in 2015. So it's gotten a lot of attention on Book Talk and has therefore had a resurgence. And so they're reissuing with these brand new not cartoony, but drawn covers.
Yes. Um,
Yeah.
excuse me. If you read the author's note after the second epilogue of the special edition, then you find out that the original cover was actually really intentional to attract a different type of reader to a science fiction story than would normally be thought of as science fiction readers.
Yeah. That I really enjoyed that author's note. And I'll talk about both those epilogues because I enjoyed them both as well. Like she talks about a lot of stuff, some stuff that we'll also talk about later that she took out of the book, and this bit about the cover, like I found it really interesting, and this whole book talk rise to fame research.
Yeah.
So I found it really interesting.
Okay,
Wasn't
before
just
we
a rote list of thank yous.
Yeah, I do like getting a little glimpse of like what's happening behind the curtain beyond just the thank yous to all the people that helped make the book. Should we read this? Should I read this?
Yeah,
because you wrote this.
I wrote it. Sure. This
Okay.
is how we seem to work.
Okay, give me a second. I'm gonna clear my throat and then I'm gonna attempt. Okay. Thank you. Excellent. All right. I've handed you my cough. All right. If you would like to count me in.
Absolutely. And a 5, 6, 7, 8.
22-year-old women are abducted from Earth. When their captors have engine issues, they drop the women on an ice planet. Georgie, the elected leader, goes out to find help, supplies, and anything to keep the women alive. She's found by a local, Vectal, who happens to believe that she is his fated mate. She has to save the other women while navigating a strong-willed, horny blue alien, a foreign language, and a planet trying to kill her.
Hey! Toot. Yeah, I mean, that's about it. That's about everything. That about covers it. This book ended at the 68% mark, and I was like, what the hell? Because it has 2 fairly long epilogues in it that really sort of button up everything. This book was also originally published as a serial, which we will talk about in a minute. And it's the first of a 22-book series that has additional novellas and short stories. So
it's like a Cressley Cole situation.
Yeah. I was trying to do some research as to how is it 22 books when there's only like 12 women in the spaceship with her. And I think they're like the aliens come by again. They crash land or something. And there's a second sort of sub-series based on this same planet, they call Not Hoth, Star Wars reference. And that second series is called Ice Home, which is one word. And that's all the Wikipediaing I did today.
Excellent. Very good. I can't believe it's 22 books already. Like since 2015. If this was originally published in 2015, that means 22 books in 7 years.
So 3 books and novellas a year. Holy shit. Well, published. We can assume that maybe she had a few written. Maybe.
Sure. Yes, absolutely.
I didn't Wikipedia that.
I mean, it from reading the author's note, it sounded like this was a stress reliever. So she was writing them and releasing them at the same time. But yeah, that's a lot of writing. And I have to say that the writing doesn't feel unedited or incomplete. Like it doesn't feel rushed.
Yeah.
I do want to.
But I think I can segue. Hold on, I have a really good segue. However, I feel like the stakes of this book could have been amplified, which is, I think, what both of our questions kind of allude to. Would you like to ask yours officially?
Oh, no, well, okay, so I think yours is the more expanded of the two questions, but essentially for me, it is my assumption that it's not that every chapter is a beginning of a new serial. So if you've read Green Mile by Stephen King or Hearts in Atlantis by Stephen King, both of those were released as serials. And he actually tells you where the next book, like where the next released book portion starts, so that you know, like he wrote all of this in one sitting, and then there was a pause, and then he wrote all of this in one sitting. In here, I don't know that happened. And so, and I mean, you sort of can tell where the next part begins, but the original impression is that this entire book flows as a collective. But then I do think that there are internal stakes for each one of the serial volume releases, but the overarching stakes aren't as clear because maybe originally they weren't present, right? Like she was just writing volume 1 or volume 2. And then when they all got put together, overall, it was like, I mean, well, I'm downplaying the fact that they could freeze to death or die because they need this symbiotic worm to live with.
Yeah, I think that the problem comes with when you write, publish, end your book, you're not getting the scope. You don't get the big picture, right? And so for me, like, I wanted more tension throughout the book, but mostly in the first part when they wake up in this alien spaceship. And for this re-release version that we read, she cut out some of the rape scenes. So there's implied rape. But I wanted, when they crash landed on Not Hoth, I wanted it to feel like a fucking holiday. Like, thank God we're out of the frying pan, but oh no, we're into the ice fire. Like, it never kind of felt that way. It was just always like, la 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 la, okay next, oh no, there's a hot blue alien. So like there was, it was frivolous, but I liked it. Here's the, like, I still really like this book. Like, this was me being like as nitpicky as I could about a reader. Like, it's a 4-star. If I was stressed out, it would have been a 5-star. So yeah, like, it just, like, that's just the one thing that's sort of where the bottom dropped out for me on it. But otherwise,
I do agree, because like there's a point where for her the stakes are really high, but for me as a reader of her experience, it was like, why are the stakes so high? Like, I didn't connect with that. And we can talk about like, oh, and now I'm carrying a baby. And I was like, nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah. I mean, we can talk about it because she was like, oh, and I guess I'm cool with this. Like, this is fine with me. And I'm like, what? Wow. I think that was the moment when I was like, oh, this is just erotica. This is just like sex scene to sex scene to sex scene. Just lightly threaded together with plot. It's cold. They need to stay together for warmth. There's fucking caves everywhere. Like,
there are fucking caves everywhere.
Not actually fucking caves, but that's what they become in this book. So, like, just, I'm not going to complain because this is all I ever wanted.
Excellent. Okay, so my next question has to do with the Barbarians, with the blue alien race. My question is more of a statement on humanity than a question. We're going to go real deep here. But how is it that, and I'm putting quotes around this word, barbarians from outer space are better men than men? They understand boundaries. They understand respect. Like, no one is forcing themselves on anyone.
Great. Two things. Just gonna happy reminder that the humans are the aliens because this is their planet. So
They're all aliens on this one because
they crash landed 200 years ago, right? But still, like, they have an established village, and the human ladies are just encroaching and very flimsily dressed at all times. So here's the thing. I think this is a byproduct. If we want to get anthropological, very different word, about it. It's about scarcity. So this tribe only has like 3 or 4 women left in it, and the rest of the tribe is men. So I guess your point could still stand. It could go either way, but I think that they see this group of women as a treasure, as a prize, as a savior for what they're experiencing, rather than going total bro code about it.
Okay. I'm gonna say that historically, humans, when they arrive somewhere, have a tendency to pillage. Like, there's literally a word for it. Meaning that arguably nothing is stopping these blue aliens from doing the very same thing that the green aliens were going to do and not ask permission. My point here is, firstly, to your point about there being scarcity, does that mean that a lot of women-identified folk need to die out in order for the men to be respectful to them? Because that is not a great prospect for all of us. And secondly, and separately, is it just a comment on the fact that misogyny is learned and not like embedded in our DNA, right?
Right. I mean, yes, absolutely. Misogyny is the mask that the patriarchy wears. So, like, it absolutely makes sense, and that is a lovely read-in. I enjoyed that a lot. One of the thoughts that I had is has left my mind. Has just left my brain.
I'm so sorry. I talked for too long.
No, it's all right. Oh, I remember. Could this possibly be a byproduct of the fact that they know their fated mate? That they have the opportunity to know their fated mate. And so why would you harm something that is potentially the most precious to you or someone you know?
I mean, I do think that the concept of them being reverent of the possibility of finding their soulmate is definitely one of the reasons why, like, all of the things that the men do is sort of motivated by the possibility of this. Yes. But I would also say that there are several passages where when they come back to Vektal's village and he explains to everyone that she is his mate, the other men in the village, before they even know that there are other women out there, don't respond to him with, I mean, they, for a hot second, they're like, wow, she's super ugly. And then they immediately check themselves. And there's more than one mention of other men wishing for good fortune for him and being envious but not jealous, or being wistful but not envious. Meaning that within the society that is primarily men, they aren't bros.
Right. I mean,
velvet blue aliens with horns, no bros.
No bros. I mean, when you have to, like, hunt and make every single thing you own, there's no time for bro.
I mean, I've been led to believe that
snapping here.
Right, yeah, but there's like this society, and not like this society read as a egalitarian collective that helps those in need. And yes, it is a small collective, and arguably that is why the collective works, because they are able to provide for everyone's needs, right? Like the size of the crowd is equivalent to the amount of goods they have. But still, it felt like a safe place, like a nice safe place.
Yeah. It makes me wonder. So as we mentioned, the tribe of Velvet Blue aliens crash landed 200 years previous. So this is generations later, this tribe. It makes me wonder about that original civilization, and maybe this is part of that, or did this develop when they were on Nothoth? Yeah. I mean, I love it. That's a lovely thing to ponder, that I was just like, huh, this is great. La, 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 la. Next sex scene.
I mean, also that. So, that is also wonderful.
So my question is about Georgie, who is the human woman main character. She's just a bank teller who is abducted and then has the idea to kill their captor, and that makes her an elected leader of these other women. But like, I guess, so do you like stories where the main character is no one special, just like an ordinary person put into extraordinary circumstances?
Well, I think so. I have two things to say here. And the first one is, yes, I do like a hero who rises from an average circumstance. But I would also say that she takes on the leadership role and has the mental capacity and somewhat the physical capacity to do so. So she isn't ordinary. She just hasn't been put into circumstances where she's needed to step up in this way. And this is the pressure cooker in which her leadership potential actualizes.
Interesting.
I sort of thought of her as Kristen Bell's character in The Good Place. Like, right? Sure. She's spunky and she just knows that she needs to get out of every situation she's in. And like Kristen Bell's character, she takes the people around her with her out of these situations. So,
yeah. Well, holy forking shirt bowls.
Perfect.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's a really accurate analogy reference that I didn't make as well, because la 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 sex scene.
All right. So this is a question that I am dying to know the answer to. You read this book before me, and you said, I know what you're going to think about this book. And then we shelved that conversation until recording time. So what do you think I thought of this book?
I think that, well, now having talked to you this long about it, I'm tempering my answer. But I thought for sure you were going to mostly hate it because you hate fated mates. You hate, like, chest thumping males who just throw women over their shoulders and, like, huff off to their cave. But so far, you've been moderately engaged and you haven't made your hate face yet. I think you're wearing a lot of eyeliner, so it's really hard to tell.
So, actually, though, I did laugh when he put her over his shoulder and carried her caveman style to his cave. I thought that was hilarious. But I think that he was made into a very likable, emotionally available blue barbarian.
Yeah.
And so I actually didn't think that he was protective of her, but even in that protectiveness, he let her make her own choices. And when she said, I don't know if I want to be your fated mate or stay with you, he was like, that's heartbreaking, but it's your choice. Yeah, he definitely moped about it, but he didn't do so in her face. Like, I actually did not think that he was an alpha male in the way that I dislike the alpha male. I also think that, okay, firstly, and we'll get to it later, but their meeting scene requires the fated mate trope. Otherwise, it's really creepy. Right?
Yeah.
But because you're in his head when it's happening and you believe in his pull, like his emotional draw to her that he cannot control, it does not read like a creepy situation, and it does read like a okay situation, more than okay situation. And then lastly, she doesn't fall back at him until later. Like, he's like, she's mine, end of sentence. And she's like, hold please. And then after a while, she was like, oops, pregnant with his baby. I guess it's fate. And that was a little on the nose for me. Like, I really could have lived without her getting pregnant. But short of that, I actually didn't mind it. I mean, I it's not that I didn't mind the fated mates thing. It's that I understood why that trope was necessary. Otherwise, it would swerve into creepy territory.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at their initial meeting, but let's just tell the people that she wakes up from passing out and he's going down on her vigorously. And he has a very bumpy tongue. So it works. So, but that is dubious consent. She
dubious
gave no
consent
before he took off all of her clothes and did that.
Agreed. Dubious consent. How she does consent to it after she wakes up, but yes, the beginning very dubious.
That's well, I guess it's actually not dubious. There's no consent there.
Oh yes, full agree. I mean, she does say, I guess I'm gonna be passed out when this monster is eating me. So I thought that was hilarious. Because that's the last thought she has before she passes out. Yeah, very tongue-in-cheek. I was like, oh, he is eating her, just not the kind she was expecting.
Not the welcoming kind. Or not the unwelcoming kind.
Not the unwelcoming kind. I mean, she does welcome him to continue. I want to swerve here for just a second to talk about not necessarily his bumpy tongue. And this is going to get into anthropology maybe a little bit, but this is a thing I was wondering, right? Like, so the blue barbarians have ridges all over their bodies, which in the description, by the way, sounded a little like their faces looked like they were Klingon, but with horns, and because and then the illustration, exactly, but then the illustration is a little bit more elfin, like they look more like Mr. Tumnus and less like a Klingon. In case you know what those references are, I'm gonna just enjoy that image for a little while longer because yes, to a Mr. Tumnus situation.
Oh, I haven't thought about that before. Okay, thank you.
So my question is going to go even warmer than that. So they have these they have these bumpy ridges all over their bodies, and from an evolutionary standpoint, arguably it's for protection, right? They need it's armor, right? It's built out armor. They are on a snowy planet, so they need their face ridged for protection. I'm not sure about their tongues, but I assume it has to do with the raw meat that they eat so that they're able to get through it. That's why they have sharper canines. So this is where I get to I need an explanation on this. So he has a bumpy ridge at the base of his penis that coincidentally stimulates her clitoris while he's inside her.
I didn't read it as a bumpy ridge. I read it as a second protrusion. Very exactly like a rabbit vibrator, which is one of the
she does describe it that way. Oh, well, okay, so my question remains, what caused that? Like, what is that for?
Well, I mean, like an entirely different species. We never learn about the vaginal anatomical nature of the women of his species. Like,
we haven't yet. I'm really hoping that another book will go there.
Well, we do learn that they don't have, I guess, a clitoris. Like, they don't have a clitoris. He calls it her third nipple, but like that. So there's something, but not something. I don't know. There's too many questions.
Yeah.
But I was for it.
I mean,
It's very hot.
Right. Very convenient evolutionary development, I would say. But I was like, but why? Why did that happen? Like, having a differently shaped foot that has the ability to climb walls makes sense. Having a differently shaped fingers that, again, allow for climbing steep hills.
Maybe on their original home planet, millennia ago, they had 2 penises, and then evolutionarily they declined down to 1.1.
Maybe. But yeah, I was like, this is handy, but also and then I needed to
it's great.
Yeah, and then I needed to know more about their tails. Because like, if their tail, because there's an implication that his tail is really sensitive, but it's also never, like, it's exposed. So if it's really sensitive, shouldn't they have desensitized by now?
Right, and it sometimes wags like a dog.
Right.
Like, she doesn't use it to discern his mood all the time, like you do with a dog.
Right, and then like, but he doesn't have control of it, or it's never mentioned whether or not he has like articulated control of it, or if it just exists. I needed to know about the tail. I realized this is a very specific thing, but I need more about their anatomy. But there's 21 more books to go, so maybe someone will tell me. But I have some tail related questions.
So are you telling me that you could possibly be very into tail erotica?
I mean, like, I feel like it fits in the same category as tentacle porn.
Sure. Okay. All right. Sure. Okay.
And so this really gets me, this really gets me to something I want to talk about later.
Yeah.
But it really has to do with the fact that Ruby Dixon made me hot for a blue humanoid, horned-tailed velvet person, which I'm speechless about that, because that was really well done. I 110% was like, yeah, this is very hot. I'm confused how I'm into this, but I am so into this.
Do you think that they make like blue velvet sheets? Just as like Ice Planet Barbarian merch?
I mean, reach out immediately. This is a great idea.
You're welcome. Or a body pillow just made out of blue velvet. I have ideas, come to me. Oh my goodness. Okay. Yeah. Like this super, just talking about it, I'm like, oh, well, this is hot. Okay. Thanks for, oh yeah. All right. Anywho, that sidebar over. So my final question for you is, on a scale of die in 1 minute to Bear Grylls, how well would you survive in Georgie's place?
Not
Hoth.
I hate, and I hate cold things. Snow, hate. So I'm definitely no Bear Grylls. I do know how to start a fire out of kindling and rocks. It's not
incredible
Boy Scouts, but it's the former USSR version. But yes, I know that.
I'm so sorry. We need to pause right there. What?
Oh yeah, I wasn't a Boy Scout, but everyone is, or everyone was back in the Soviet times.
Did it have a cutesy name like Boy Scouts or Cub Scouts, or that translates?
Lenin's Party.
Yikes. Okay. Game on. Sign back in.
Yeah, so not great, not best.
Nope.
So anyways, so I mean, I'm not saying I can start a fire, and in a stressful situation I might panic, but my everyday job is solve problems when others are panicking. So I have a certain expectation of put the panic away and get it done. And I mean, literally yesterday, I lived through a situation where everybody around me was in a total panic, and I, by virtue of my job, was not. So it is hopeful. I am hopeful that in that situation, I would have a little panic on the side and then a lot of adrenaline to get shit done.
Yeah, like when they crash landed and she was like, okay, we've got these plastic sheets in this big hole. And I'm like, well, obviously, you're plugging the hole with the plastic sheets. Like, problem solving and stress management, absolutely. I'm with you there. 100%. Survival? No. And nope. And I too also hate the cold. I have nothing to keep me warm beyond this rope. And I would immediately have frostbite just looking at the snowballs. So yeah, I think I land somewhere in the low side of middle, maybe. Let's hope we stumble upon a sexy blue alien who loves cunnilingus.
There we go. That's the wish here. If crash landing on a poorly inhabitable planet, may there be very giving aliens.
Very giving aliens. Should we talk about if our spouses would be okay with us accepting Ladyhead from aliens in order to survive?
Well, I know the answer from my spouse. Not that we had this specific conversation, but we have had other conversations that could be applied here. And the answer is yes, just tell me about it.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So,
we have not yet had this conversation. My thought is try not to. So I guess after he edits it, we'll have this conversation. I'll get back to you.
All right, let's take a break here. We'll be right back. We're going to talk about our favorite part of the book and whether or not it made us get naked, in case it isn't already self-evident.
Okay, we're going to take an intermission right here. When we come back, we're going to break down our favorite moment from the book.
And discuss our ratings and if this book made us want to get naked.
Please enjoy this message from one of our friends in the podcasting world.
And we're back.
Hello, hello, hello. We are talking about Ruby Dixon's Ice Planet Barbarians, which is #1 in the series.
Yes.
And our favorite and most compelling moments, and did we get naked, and all of that lovely wrap-up that we do. Would
yes.
you like to begin with your compelling favorite moment?
So I sort of already brought it up, but basically the most compelling thing about this book for me stems from the fact that I am very confused because I am so attracted to an off-world species that doesn't exist, and that Ruby Dixon wrote such a lovely person that I was like, tell me everything about this person and how they live their life. And I have a lot of questions about this society and whether or not it is really binary in its existence, or if there are non-male-female pairings that are fated, and whether or not there are thruples, or like whether or not all of them have to be fated, or if there are unfated but committed relationships. Because it sounded like from this one that that there are sexual relationships that happen between unfated or people who aren't meant to be each other's soulmates, but that they aren't committed. They just sort of share a bed with whoever they feel like sharing a bed with. But they can only have children with someone they're fated. And currently their entire society depends on making children, essentially.
Right. That's what makes me think that there aren't any same-sex, potentially at this point, at this juncture, same-sex relationships. But a throuple could be interesting. That would be that'd be a really interesting story to read.
I'm trying to think of
even like a V. So
I'm trying to think of this. We have read one that I can currently not recall, but it's two men and a woman.
mm-hmm.
We have read a story of and then they raise a child together and they live in a cave system. Oh my gosh, I will think of it.
Okay. You think of it because it's not coming to me. You read more throuple stories than I do, and I'm very sad about that.
Well,
catch up.
I will share. So, to me, the most compelling moment it's not that it's the most compelling, but it's kind of a wonderful moment. But their first meeting, or rather, when she wakes up, he's already between her legs, and instead of freaking out about it, she goes, "This isn't so bad. Oh, look, handholds in the shape of horns. Let me pull him closer." That was hilarious. That was sexy, and it was funny, and it immediately made me not creeped out by the lack of consent at the very beginning of that scene.
Yeah. For me, because I'm a weirdo, I mean, it's also that scene is just hands down fantastic and first of its kind in my reading experience. But I'm also a weirdo who likes to think about like how people lived prehistorically, what their situations were like. How did women handled their menstruation before they got that weird strap-on pad thing? Like, you just free bleeding? I can't with the free bleeding idea. And so the epilogues of this book touched on a lot of that, like what life is like, that sort of slice of life, day-to-day activity in a prehistoric village, hunting and skinning and tanning and sewing, and oh god, one of the women has her period, and what is she, like, we got to go take care of it, that kind of stuff, which is interesting to me. I like imagining that kind of stuff. Am I weird? Is that a weird thing to think of?
I mean, every time I think about prehistoric living, I immediately go, but there's no penicillin. Goodbye now.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. I mean, no indoor toilets. No, thank you.
On a frozen planet.
Yeah. Yeah. You're digging a latrine trench in ice. No, thank you. Can you just poop down a cave hole?
Dear Ruby Dixon, can you just poop?
Are there cave holes?
I guess a follow-up question to that, not to the particulars of that, but my follow-up question would be, now that these women have joined this tribe, these women who have experienced indoor plumbing, or what I kept thinking about, because at one point Georgie talks about her usefulness to the tribe and what she could contribute to the tribe, and I kept thinking about lotions and lip balms and like skin protectants. And that's something that we take for granted. Like, your hands are cracked, you put some lotion on, right? Your lips are chapped. And this is a very cold world. So my assumption of it is that part of the reason why they have rough patches on their skin is because they're hardened against the cold. So I was like, so I actually thought about whether or not I could, in a pinch, manufacture a skin protectant. Like, could I make lip balm
out of animal fat?
Out of animal fat, exactly. And then show everyone. And it is my assumption that they already know this, because they use every part of the animal. But that would be And sewing arts is, I think, where I would go, because like Georgie, I could not kill for food.
I mean, I don't want to be outdoors, but if they want to come to me, I would kill them. I think I could kill an animal. I accidentally killed a horny toad once, but it's because I left it in a bucket. That's a Texas story for later.
Oh, whoa. Whoa.
Yeah. Anywho, what, like, nobody needs a manager. Like, oh, no, I do remember what I would be really good at. Taking inventory. Because they had that stock closet. Oh, I would own an inventory.
You would have to figure out writing supplies first, but yeah.
I mean, scratch a rock onto another rock.
That is what they did in the land before time.
Yeah.
Good
times. So I'd be basically useless.
No, I'm sure it'd be great. You would find, considering how you go into problem solving mode in any crisis, I have a feeling there would be choices. Choices could be made for you or by you.
Yeah. It's just I'm currently living in my best timeline. Modern era works for me and my skill set.
I agree.
Nurture over nature.
I agree. I'm probably in the same boat. All right. What is your hot take of this book?
This book was so hot, it turned not Hoth into Dune. It melted all of the ice, and we're now on a desert planet of hotness.
I was wondering what that means in the script, but now I understand.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Yes. Book 2? Where's book 2? Can I get book 2 today? I would like book 2.
Yes. Grabby hands.
Totally grabby hands. Yes. Where is there an emoji of grabby hands? Because I am it.
Is it just the spicy face?
Just the spicy face.
Maybe with jazz hands.
Oh, spicy face followed by jazz hands. Excellent.
Maybe.
Yes. Expect me to send that emoji combo to you very soon about book 2.
Excellent. Did this book make you want to get naked? Are you currently wishing you were naked?
Well, I mean, I think it's really self-evident. The number of times I've mentioned that I'm surprisingly attracted to blue velvet aliens, and there was that very long conversation about what could he do with his tail? Yeah. And also bring on a throuple, and I have so many more questions, and all of them are about sex. Yeah. This was this was very spicy in the best way.
Nice. Agreed. Bring on the energetic tonguing. Like, just wake me up. Wake me up with energetic tonguing. More.
I mean, also, the very end, when the men are trying to understand the words man-eater, and Vectel is trying not to explain head to them.
Yes. Excellent.
It was just, chef's kiss, adorable. But also,
they're so innocent.
They're so innocent, but in the loveliest way. But then, like, so this is where I would like some women's anatomy of the blue aliens, because he goes down on her, and like, it's something that he clearly already knows how to do. It's not something that he is learning in the process of doing it. But then
not on the job training.
Yeah. Not in this instance. But then he's surprised that she has a clit. Right? So then what is that act like for their race? And then the women never go down on the men in their race,
well, they got
or kiss.
Teeth. That's true.
I did not think about that.
They got those pointy teeth. That could be. Although this is a similar question that I had in
Radiance. Yeah, Eidolon and Radiance.
where, because he has like those razor teeth and those razor claws, and I'm just like, everything must be careful. Do it carefully.
I actually thought that the blue lamp-like eyes of these aliens were a very similar descriptor to the yellow lamp-like eyes of Eidolon in the Grace Draven series, the Wrath Kings. Yes, because I read that and I was like, wait, this is the blue version of the yellow version. I was into him as well, confusingly. Gray and
you might be into aliens. You are definitely into aliens. Don't know if you knew this, but you are. Yeah. Also, I believe it's Wraith Kings.
Is it Wraith? Is like a oh, totally. You're right. There's an eye. There's absolutely an eye. You're right.
Yeah. So like this, 2 enthusiastic thumbs up. Give me more horns. I'm very horny for horns.
Yeah, get a fan. Put yourself in an environment that is very chilly because you're gonna overheat. Yes.
And it just sets the mood.
And it sets the mood.
Not hot.
Absolutely.
Oh my god, brilliant. I mean, what are you gonna try and read next to possibly try to compete with Velvet Horns?
Well, so I know that book 2 is available, so obviously that's already like, eat me. I mean that literally. But I also, as a complete departure from this adventure, want to read Nobleman's Guide to, oh my goodness, the new Mackenzie Lee, the 3rd in its series. Which came out this week. Yes, I mean I know what it's about, but I don't remember the exact verbiage for it. Anyways, I'm very excited. I love the other 2 books. I am very excited that there's a time jump. Like we are further, like we're 10 years into the future from the last book, I believe. And I love that. I love when books do that. I love when authors like make everyone develop and then we get to go back to them. I think that makes for a really interesting read. So I'm really looking forward to a book whose name I can't remember. So that's going really well.
No, it's all right. I'm about halfway through Love Lists and Fancy Ships by Sarah Grinder Ruiz. I shouldn't have had that Haritos. I'm totally drunk now. It's delightful. It's like effervescent. It like cute. There's a lot of adorable teenagers. I mean, who are grieving. There's a lot of grieving people in this book, so content warning there. Folks who are experiencing post loss and working through their grief. You know, it's got some cute snark. It's set in Florida, so you know, lots of Florida things. Yeah. It's no Ice Planet Barbarians.
Okay. Sorry, I looked it up. It is called The Nobleman's Guide to Scandal and Shipwrecks.
That's right. I could picture the cover, but I couldn't. Yeah. I think
Me too.
I was getting the new Amanda Collins book also shuffled in there. The name, the this with the this and the this titles are getting a little out of hand, everybody.
It's been like that for maybe the whole year.
Yeah.
Well, great. I'm so glad you're enjoying your book.
Yeah.
I will let you know how my adventure in books goes. And
Excellent.
I will see you next time.
Yeah, and we'll see all the rest of you next time. Feel free to, you know, comment, tell us what you thought of the book, if you've read it, if you're going to read it, if you happen to have a blue velvet body pillow, and send me the link. So are you, dear audience human, gonna pick up this book now that you've heard our review? Let us know in the comments. Have a suggestion for another review? Slide on into our DMs.
If you like this adventure in books or updates on our upcoming projects, please follow, like, save, subscribe, rate, review us on Instagram at l.skyford, on Twitch at lskyford, and on Twitter at skyfordl. Phew. I'm Sky.
And I'm Ford. That's it for this episode. We'll see you next time on Booklandia, where every book is a whole world to explore. And we're out.